And I feel we've done well in the league recently. We've had no harsh lessons at times. This season it was about improving and then learning from the mistakes that we've made. I think that's certainly been the case. It'd be great Hearts to get a bit of stability again. The fact that Anne's going to come in and take the club forward is fantastic for everyone.
In administration, Gary Locke was forced to field youth players in the Senior League. It's been a steep learning curve. But it's been 6 weeks since Hearts lost a league game, and there are now positive signs off the pitch too. Celtic are the only team to have bullied the youngsters this season. Their 7-0 win here in the Scottish Cup is their biggest ever victory over Hearts. Talking of records, Fraser Forster is just 31 minutes away from a big one. We're in the capital for live action from the Scottish Premiership. The club at the bottom with a point to prove to the leaders. Enjoy it on Sky Go if you're on the move. It's in high definition on Sky Sports 2 HD. Well, it's been a crash course at senior level for the Tynecastle Boys Club, but the kids have grown lately in what is their best run of the season. They need to show maturity to stop Celtic breaking the Scottish League shutout record. Now, Andy Walker has been drafted in from the commentary box, joined by the most expensive British goalkeeper of all time. One of his saves was voted the best in English Premier League history. It's £9 million worth of Craig Gordon. We get a discount, fortunately. Will Fraser Forster be getting nervy now?
I would think so. I think if it was me and I had this record coming up, I would be feeling the pressure. It certainly didn't look like it out there in the warm-up. And I spoke to him earlier. He's looking forward to it and seems to be as relaxed as ever. Do
you think, Andy, Hearts have recovered from the 7-0 defeat here in the Cup?
I think it'll be on their minds. They'll be very wary of the threat that Celtic posed today. We know how good Celtic are from middle to front. And I think it would only be natural for the amount of young players on the Hearts side to be aware of what happened here the last time. To lose 7 at home is a pretty sore one to take.
Do you think that Hearts will be throwing the kitchen sink at Celtic in that first half hour when they could break or they could stop Celtic breaking that record?
Yeah, I think they will. They obviously know about it as well, and Hearts like to stop Celtic getting points. So they've got one of the best records, especially here, of any team in the Scottish Premiership for beating Celtic. So they do have past histories of stopping Celtic, getting the results they're looking for. And I think with this record on their mind as well, there'll be a few shots early on just to test the nerves of the back line and the goalkeeper as well.
How important is the Hearts goalkeeper to this young team?
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's one of the older heads. I think he's only about 27, but definitely one of the older heads in that dressing room. He's a very calm, relaxed figure, and he's been brilliant this season. I think everybody probably expected him to be quite busy with the new team that they've had to build around the youngsters, but he's been a great influence, and he's had a very good season up to now.
I saw him a few weeks ago against St Mirren, and this is a type of quality save that he can come up with. I think he's been Hearts' best player this season, Craig. I don't know what you think, but he's certainly got the attributes to make save after save.
Is it possible for him to lead from the back?
Yeah, I think it is. I had the captaincy here for a short time, and especially the people round about you can pass messages on, and he's made some great saves this season. It could have been so much worse, but he's so quick. He's not the biggest goalkeeper in the league, certainly, but he makes up that with his reaction time and his speed around the goal, and he's been very impressive this season.
Well, both managers have been very much in the news now. Let's get the matchday views of Messrs Locke and Lennon with Luke Shanley.
How do you go about beating Celtic or even scoring against them given their run?
Yeah, it'll be very difficult. I mean, they're a top side, fully top international players. You know, they've been on a great run of late. They've not been beaten in the league all season, and obviously Fraser Forster's been in incredible form as well. So formidable opposition, but you know, we've worked hard all week, and you know, hopefully our flair players in the team can cause Celtic 1 or 2 problems.
Neil, how much do you relish games at this ground?
Yeah, very much so. It's always traditionally a great fixture, regardless of the circumstances between both clubs. It's always competitive and always a cracking atmosphere.
Given this unbeaten run and the potential clean sheet record, how much do you emphasise that in the dressing room?
Well, both of them could go at any time, so you know, it's important that we use both as incentives to, you know, keep our consistency very, very high. Played very well last week, but you know, Hearts have, you know, got a decent result last week, and they'll be looking to, you know, take our scalp today.
Lee Griffiths will get a warm welcome back to Tynecastle, I'm sure. Does that look like a partnership yet, Griffiths and Stokes?
I think there's still a bit of work to be done, David. I think it's got the makings of a decent partnership. Lee Griffiths strong on his left side, Stokes with his ability on the right, Commons just in behind him and supporting him at all times. The last thing you want for Lee Griffiths is to go a number of games without a goal. The last thing you want for him is for that Celtic jersey to become too heavy, and he's not becoming a regular goal scorer. So he would love nothing better today than to score one here. It's one of his favourite grounds, I think.
Just a bit.
Yeah, it's all set up for him. You know, he's scored a few goals here for Hibs, and yeah, if he was certainly to break his duck here today, I'm sure that would be extra special for him.
At the other end, let's see where Fraser Forster ranks currently in the all-time shutout Hall of Fame. Well, you can see he's half an hour away from Bobby Clark's Scottish League record. Has he done well for someone who was only signed because they couldn't get Craig Gordon?
I don't know about that. But he's
could have been you though,
bit,
couldn't it?
I think there was talks at one stage with Sunderland that Celtic were in for me, but certainly he's come in here and been absolutely fantastic over the past couple of seasons. Not only in the Scottish Premiership, but also his performances in Europe have been fantastic. Some big games, and he's come up trumps for them on numerous occasions. The improvement over the last few years, I think you've got to give a lot of credit to his coach as well, Stevie Woods, who's worked well with him. He's stronger now, his feet are better.
He wouldn't look out of place in the international stage.
No, he wouldn't. He's very good with the pass back now. He's good off both sides, and I think that's a lot in international football. You get a lot of touches with your feet, and the big saves that he has been pulling off every now and again for Celtic is something that is replicated on the international stage, where you maybe don't have as much to do, especially playing for England. You're expected to be the better team on most occasions, and I think that role would suit him very well.
OK guys, I gather Anne Budge is in the building. We'll hopefully see her shortly. Club legend John Robertson gave Hearts extra shooting practice this week because they're up against a man just half an hour away from being crowned Scotland's shutout king. This might be a coronation day. Kick-off is next.
Outstanding save from Fraser Forster. Yet another clean sheet that makes Fraser Forster. He's nearly there. Nearly making history. Nearly a record breaker.
The final scenes in the Hearts dressing room, the home dressing room here at Tynecastle. Gary Locke, the manager, addressing his players in what looks like a Celtic huddle, but it is a maroon Hearts huddle. And there is Anne Budge arriving, the woman who was named as executive chairman designate. Her £2.5 million will play a big part in getting this club out of administration, the physical embodiment of all the positivity around Tynecastle. There she is, meeting the fans. And there are the players, game time, in the company of our commentators, Neil McCann and Ian Crocker.
Well, last time Celtic came here, they won 7-0 in the Scottish Cup. Rarely have they had it so easy against Hearts. But then a trip to Tynecastle is not quite what it used to be. Hearts, though, have actually put together a 4-match unbeaten run in the league. But it's a big ask to keep Celtic at bay just now. It's hardly been a daunting place to visit amid troubled and traumatic times, but they still know how to put an atmosphere on here. Hearts Hibs make 2 changes from the Inverness draw. Kevin McHattie and Callum Patterson return from suspension. Jordan McGee and Dale Carrick make way. There's a home debut for Paul McCallum on loan from West Ham. Jamie Hamill has scored 3 goals in 3 games and is Hearts' top scorer with 7. Gary Locke's side unbeaten in 4 Scottish Premiership matches, but they are facing the top team today. Celtic forced to make 1 change in the St Johnstone stroll. Emilio Izaguirre hobbled off with a hamstring injury in that game, but Charlie Mulgrew makes a timely return from a calf problem. Chris Commons scored a hat-trick here in that Scottish Cup romp. Anthony Stokes scored a hat-trick last week. Lee Griffiths scored on his last visit to Tynecastle with Hibs. You wouldn't be surprised if his first Celtic goal came here. James Forrest is still sidelined. Jason Holt is on the bench after 3 months out. He's the only Hearts player to score against Celtic in the last 8 league meetings. Teemu Pukki scored on his debut here in September, but that wasn't really a sign of things to come. So, Fraser Forster, 31 minutes away from breaking Bobby Clark's 43-year-old Scottish League shutout record. A record that was halted in Edinburgh, by the way, by Pat Stanton of Hibs. Paul McCallum might just fancy busting that record attempt. A former non-league player, he's been loaned out 5 times by West Ham. This is his first taste of Tynecastle. 2 managers gave their all for their clubs as players, but it's Billy Brown who's having a chat with Neil Lennon.